Welcome to Big Monday, ESPN, presented by LinkedIn. You're watching the ACC on ESPN tonight from Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. Duke hosting Virginia. The Blue Devils up to number 7 in the latest AP poll, and this is the only opportunity in a stretch of 6 games that the Cameron Crazies will have to show their appreciation for the spanking they put on the Tar Heels Saturday night. Reese Davis, Corey Alexander, Andrea Carter joins us shortly. Mike Krzyzewski told his team today that in many ways this game more important than the Carolina game because it would test their maturity.
And he wants to see that maturity, especially from his front line. But this group has an opportunity to be special. They're doing it offensively, doing it defensively. But that maturity, as you talked about, is that front line, 2 freshmen and a sophomore, and Paolo Banchero, AJ Griffin, and Mark Williams, and he wants to make sure these guys react the right way.
This is the best defensive team in the ACC, the Blue Devils. Paolo Banchero got off to a great start in the first couple of minutes, then went quiet, while AJ Griffin erupted for a career-high 27 points and a virtuoso performance against the Tar Heels. They'll be going against a Virginia team that put together back-to-back wins for the first time in a month.
And Virginia starting to shoot the basketball much better than they did earlier in the season. Still relying on that defense, but Tony Bennett says that they are making strides in the direction that they want to go.
Tony Bennett in his 13th season as the Cavalier head coach, a national championship on his resume. Right now, the Cavaliers are on the outside of the NCAA tournament picture. This would be a signature win against the only team in the ACC that is currently in the top 25. There is AJ Griffin, big Mark Williams, who has come into his own, one of the dominant big men in college basketball, jumping it up against Francisco Cafaro, and the Blue Devils have it first. Pack line defense, something that we're accustomed to seeing from Virginia. We'll see how the Blue Devils manage against it. Can they frustrate some of the younger Blue Devil players who haven't seen this Virginia defense before?
And that's where the pack line is going to be tested. Do they double Banchero and also keeping Duke off the glass, especially offensively, giving them multiple opportunities?
Got the fresh 20 with the offensive rebound. After the Banchero miss, here's Wendell Moore had a solid all-around game against Carolina. That's an excellent defense, and he has his pocket picked by Reese Beekman.
And that's something we've grown accustomed to throughout the ACC season this year. Reese Beekman, an ACC Defensive Player of the Year candidate, alongside Mark Williams from Duke. So we're seeing 2 of the better defenders in the ACC here tonight.
Kie Clark, the only Cavalier who has experienced this. That is a tremendous look. Armand Franklin, the transfer from Indiana, gets the first bucket of the night. Let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup, brought to you by K Jewelers. Familiar 5 for the Blue Devils. Jeremy Roach has been exceptional in assist-to-turnover ratio and shot the ball a little bit better against Carolina. More, we mentioned Banchero, Griffin, and Williams up front for the Blue Devils. There's Paolo, who almost shows them to their seat in the move, but he couldn't get the shot to go.
That's one you got to finish.
Virginia lineup looks like this. Kie Clark, part of the national championship team, a couple of transfers in there who played well, and Franklin and Gardner and Francisco Cafaro making out the starting lineup, and 4 quick points getting things started for Franklin, and Mark Williams with the finish.
Now breakdown defensively, no rotation after the screen and roll defense for Virginia. Great job with the trap. But Gardner has to rotate over and take away Williams at the basket.
Virginia's tempo, as is its custom, one of the slowest in the country. It's one of the things Mike Krzyzewski wanted to do, telling his team in practice today that you only control tempo on the defensive end by pressuring Virginia, and Cafaro taking it right at Williams and drawing the foul.
And you see Virginia defensively do a great job with the trap off the screen and roll action. But when you look at Mark Williams at 7'1", no one in the painted area. You see Jaden Gardner hugged up to Paolo Banchero, never rotates over defensively to take Williams away from the easy bucket.
Cafaro, his free throw percentage on the season, not tremendous, but that one nice and soft. It's his first point of the night. Played for the Argentinian team in the Tokyo Olympics, gained some experience. He told Tony Bennett he wanted a bigger role, so Bennett told him to put in the work, and he has. The man they call Poppy, he's on the board with a couple for Virginia. They're up 6-2 out of the gate.
And he's become the starter as of late at the 5 position, and he's a guy that you can leave on Mark Williams by himself and getting stopped defensively, strong enough to defend in the post.
And he's 7'1", some length, and of course for 7'1", you're going to have some, but he's got long arms as well.
There are 7'1" guys with short arms. Kevin Willis.
Sure. That's right.
Sorry, Kev.
Kihei Clark thought he was fouled. Roach going the other way in transition, and Kihei picks his pocket. Second time tonight, the Virginia guards have come up with some quick hands and just taken it away from Duke.
And when you think about this Virginia backcourt, not only are they great handling the basketball and finding teammates, they're also great on-ball defenders.
Offensive rebound from Gardner and another from Cafaro. 3 opportunities, and Virginia, Mike Krzyzewski said, test to maturity, and in the opening moments, Virginia's taken the fight to Duke.
And Virginia is testing that maturity on the offensive glass. Cafaro coming up with the putback, giving Virginia a 6-point lead. Kihei Clark, the miscue on the basketball, however, does not give up on the play, continues to fight, comes down, tracks Jeremy Roach down, gets the steal, gaining possession back for Virginia, and it ends up being another opportunity for Virginia to put 2 points on the board. And Coach K talked to us about the oftentimes a hangover after the North Carolina game. We could be seeing a little bit of that here early.
Mike is 6 days shy of his 75th birthday. In that last timeout, he channeled the inner 50-year-old K and absolutely peeled some paint off the walls. Let's say he was exhorting them, and Jeremy Roach answers. Roach had really been struggling to shoot, had a 3 against Carolina, now has one early here.
One of the things we haven't seen is a lack of energy from Coach K this season. We saw it in that last huddle, that timeout. It looks as though his team got the message, but Virginia looks to be up to the challenge.
Cafaro mishandled a really good pass from Franklin, missed an opportunity for an easy bucket.
And that's where Virginia bigs are going to have opportunities to score. Now, mover blocker offense, they have to catch those pocket passes and finish to keep Duke's bigs.
Griffin, the feed to Williams. Cafaro bothering him with his length, and he's going to be called for the foul. I haven't seen Williams have difficulty getting over anyone much this season. He has so far. When we come back, Andrea Carter with Duke's Siberius. You're going to learn a little bit, like I did, about Greek mythology.
With Duke being down 3 against Virginia, they're going to need a little bit more from their big 3, the current big 3, starting with Paolo Banchero. His size, his versatility, and his skill set equals big buckets everywhere. Mark Williams, we always knew he could do this, but his efficiency in attacking, playing above the rim has been impactful. And A.J. Griffin, he's got his bounce back, he's strong, he can play through contact, and deadly beyond the arc. This is the current big 3 of Duke, and Corey, it's special because the big 3 has evolved as the season's gone on. It hasn't always been these 3, but they need them tonight.
It has not, Andrea, and when you consider the beginning of this season for the Blue Devils, the big 3 consisted of Trevor Keels, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Moore Jr. We saw them against Gonzaga, and of course Mark Williams joined the big 3 with Banchero and then Wendell Moore Jr. in that one. But now we see a completely different big 3, Reese. This team is evolving as the season goes along.
So the Cerberus, the 3-headed monster who guards the gates of hell, can be a different head, Drea, depending on which Blue Devil has a hot hand, right?
Yes, exactly. I didn't know that word until our producer told it to us today, but yes, 3-headed guardian of hell. That is what Duke is looking for. But yes, it has changed.
Well, I tell you, with my Virginia education, I'm glad that you pronounced that word because I had zero idea what that word was on the screen.
That's just our producer, Kim Belton, showing off his classical Stanford education.
He tried to get me to say it first, guys, but, you know, I went to Tennessee, so I just held off. I was going to let you say it first.
Hey, Drea, don't downplay the value of the SEC education that you and I have received.
Absolutely right.
Trevor Keels is into the game now. So too is Caden Shedrick for Virginia. Caden is from Holly Springs, North Carolina, just about a half hour or so away. So you know he's really motivated to play in here tonight. Is Jaden Gardner, the transfer from East Carolina. Speaking of local guys coming back, he's from Wake Forest, North Carolina. And for those of you not familiar with the geography of the state, Wake Forest University is not really that close to Wake Forest, North Carolina.
It actually is not. And Wake Forest, North Carolina is right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. So look at you knowing your North Carolina geography. Reese, you've been around the block a little bit.
Yeah, I've spent some time on Tobacco Road in my years.
Now this is a mismatch for Duke, and you see Banchero making it look easy against Cody Statman. And we talked with Tony Bennett today about would we see the big lineup. I believe we will see Cafaro and Shedrick on the floor at the same time.
So Duke put some pressure on in the backcourt, Corey. They would like to speed Virginia up, but it's sort of in Virginia's DNA. They're not necessarily going to try to break the press to score. And even Kay was talking about in practice, the pressure is more to be a nuisance and to speed them up more so than try to take the ball. That was a strong take from Beekman. Looked like some contact and no call. Here come the Blue Devils. Moore for three. Duke with its first lead, taking the 9-8 lead. Now up the curl. Franklin can't find room.
And Reese, we have to mark that play. Make sure that Reese Beekman does not become tentative. Even though that one attack didn't work for him, as Trevor Keels picks up the foul, he has to continue to attack the basket. But when you look at Duke offensively, you see Paolo Banchero pointing out exactly where the basketball needs to go in order for him to be able to get it in the post. And you see him pointing Jeremy Roach over. And once he catches the basketball, he knows he's got a mismatch. There's no chance Statman has to guard him when he gets him in the block area. And Paolo making it look easy on that possession.
It's one of the things that people around the Duke program, Paolo has an immense skill set. He's a guy who can do a lot of different things out on the floor, but when he has that type of matchup, take a guy down in there and score and take advantage of it.
And oftentimes Paolo gets caught up in showing off his true arsenal of weapons he has offensively and doesn't take advantage of the mismatches. Shedrick gets the tip in, but that time does a great job of taking advantage of his strength over time.
Got the bounciness and the stretch from Caden Shedrick for the tip in. Theo John, transfer from Marquette, is into the game for the Blue Devils, number 12. He and Shedrick are getting acquainted down in the paint.
But when you speak athletically, Shedrick can battle with anyone athletically. He's as athletic as a big gets in the ACC.
Statman cuts off Keels, makes him take a tough shot. Banchero. Paolo with 4, Duke and Virginia tied at 11 in the early going. Blue Devils off excellent performance on Saturday night. The foul is called out front on Wendell Moore.
And you see Trevor Keels unable to get past Statman, but a true mismatch underneath with Paolo Banchero, and you've got Armand Franklin trying to check him out.
Did you see Shedrick and John down there?
Oh, these guys are getting after it, of course. You know, when you come into this building as an opponent, it gives you a little extra juice. And Caden Shedrick, and you mentioned from North Carolina, this is a school that I'm sure he would have loved to have an offer from. Didn't get it, but wants to get a win here on their court.
I like Kihei Clark putting him in the rocking chair and going right by them. He's averaged double figures over his last 4 games, better than 14 per game.
And Virginia's a different team when Kihei Clark is being aggressive offensively, becoming more of a scorer with Reese Beekman playing more of the point guard position. And RD, look at this example. Paolo Banchero on the perimeter with Armand Franklin guarding. This is a play where he has to get on the block.
Franklin, it's a little too much arm. He's trying to guard Banchero. Armand, who had maybe his best all-around game as a Cavalier against Miami on Saturday with 22 points, 4 assists and 4 steals, is called for the foul. Banchero rolls it in. 75% free throw shooter. Banchero's really been good all year, but his last 6 games exception.
He really has, and of course, Andrea and I talked to his mother, Rhonda, well before this, and she mentioned the fact that he wasn't rebounding at the rate that she liked to see him rebound. He needed to pick it up on that end, and he has done just that.
I think he set a career season high in rebounds like 3 of his last 7 games. So when mom encourages that, you got to respond.
Well, when mom did it herself, you know, Rhonda averaged a double-double. So when you think about that, when she's done it and she says it, it means a little more.
When Paolo's taking a break, Bates Jones, who's really given Duke some good minutes recently, coming off the bench. Kihei Clark runs into Theo John. Ball goes out of bounds. Cavs will keep it, 14 on the clock.
Hardy, we're in shoot-around this morning. Kihei Clark penetrates the lane. He goes up with a nice little hook shot. And what did I say then? He has to shoot that in the game. He had a perfect opportunity right there to get that shot up over the defense. Doesn't take it. When he gets good looks, he has to take advantage of it.
Shot clock inside 10, but that typically doesn't bother the Cavaliers. Beekman by Baker. Reese Beekman.
Love the aggressiveness by Reese Beekman. Tony Bennett talked to us about that earlier today. He has to continue to stay aggressive and win his matchup when he gets those opportunities. Joey Baker will have a difficult time keeping Reese Beekman out of the paint with the floor space.
Keels with a real size and strength advantage on Clark. Baker works his way in the paint. Spinning turnaround jump shot from Joey Baker, showing off a little bit more than a standstill 3. Cavaliers have yet to hoist one from beyond the arc.
And that hasn't been their strength. However, they did shoot the basketball very well against Miami last time out. But Virginia, knowing where his bread is buttered right now and finding good looks, as we see a 3 from Kihei Clark off the mark for their first attempt of the game.
Good thing we got that note in when we did. Here's Griffin. Into the paint, misses, and Theo John cleans it up. Duke has the lead.
But you see Caden Shedrick look back at Kihei Clark. If Shedrick, who's the 3rd leading shot blocker in the ACC, goes for a shot block, someone has to get in and put a body on whoever he's guarding and keep them off the offensive glass. Didn't happen that time with John.
Clark strong, gets it blocked. Stadman the foul and a chance for a 3-point play. And now 14 of Virginia's 17 points have come in the paint. No fear rolling into Cameron Indoor. Virginia's won back-to-back games. Off to a good start here in Durham. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball presented by LinkedIn. Whatever you're in it for, we're in it together.
Reese Beekman showing off his lightning quick first step to get to the basket and elevate for 2, and it shocks me, Corey, because Reese plays with his shoes very loose. He told me he does not like his shoes to be tight. He would rather run out of his shoes than tie them tight. So I don't know how exactly he is that quick and that effective with his shoes that loose, but he gets it done.
Well, Dre, Reese is a very laid-back, loose type of guy, so I get it. However, he's come out of his shoes multiple times over the past 2 seasons, so I would love to think that maybe he would either tie them a little tighter, but Artie, I think the problem is Reese may just have skinny feet. That might be it.
We'll be able to get him some custom-fit shoes. One would think, big shoe deal. If you win a national championship, they cater to you a little bit more.
Well, they have that. The difference is when you love a certain pair of shoes, you want to wear those shoes regardless.
Oates misses from the corner. DeFaro back into the game, collects the rebound. Virginia really has this game at the tempo and the pace it would prefer.
And Reese, Virginia is playing confident basketball. When you talk to their coaching staff, they'll be quick. Ooh, as Franklin turns the ankle, it looks like. Forcing the turnover. Duke having numbers. Great job by Beekman with the deflection. But got to check on Franklin to make sure he's okay going to the basket. And you see that left ankle turn. Speaking of loose shoes.
I was going to say, sometimes you just never know. You know, the guy wearing the loose shoes, you go, wow, you could sprain an ankle that way. And then the other end, immediately somebody turns one. 17 all, inside 10 minutes to play here in the first half. A.J. Griffin, after 27-point night in Chapel Hill, is really yet to get started. Jeremy Roach from just inside the arc. Ball's tipped out and grabbed by Franklin, who appears to be just fine. Maybe looks back and says something to Tony Bennett, maybe just that. The high post Gardner right down the boulevard, and the ECU transfer, and a guy averaging better than 14 points per game, gets the bucket. Coming up next on ESPN and the app at 9 Eastern, Kansas and Texas at the Irwin Center. Jay Phillips, Don Shambi will be there to call the action for you. Bancaro and an offensive foul. Doug Schau saying that Gardner got there, and the primary defender draws the offensive foul. That is a grin that indicates to me that Mike Krzyzewski would have preferred that call go the other way.
Well, Coach K is telling them as he's clapping, no, that's not it. And that's a tough call in that possession because Gardner does a great job getting over, but I'm not really sure what Bancaro can do differently in that scenario. A bang-bang play, which can go either direction. You see Duke now going to the zone defense after Virginia has been slicing them up offensively.
But then in this situation, then that in some ways can help Virginia in terms of keeping the game slower. Friendly nighttime banking hours for Gardner here as Virginia has a 4-point lead.
Well, Reese, this is my 13th year of doing this. First time I've ever heard friendly nighttime banking hours. So appreciate you bringing something new to the table.
Feel free to use it. Not copyrighted like Billis's always delivers. Gardner working around it and getting it over Williams. How about Jaden Gardner? It is an 8-0 Cavalier run.
And one of the things that coming into this game there was a concern was how Virginia would match up with the Blue Devils. We never talked about how the Blue Devils would match up with Virginia. They've been so good defensively, but right now it's Virginia getting it done offensively as well.
And defensively with Gardner just seeing that pass coming from a mile away and stepping in and getting the turnover. That is 5 times the Blue Devils have given it to the Cavaliers. Cafaro now working on Williams. He gets it over the top, but it doesn't go down. The big shot blocker hasn't been able to get his paws on one just yet, but he did just changed a couple of shots. Sweet ball fake by Griffin. Strong with the left hand, no good, and Virginia takes it away again. Haven't heard much from Wendell Moore. He's guarding Kihei Clark, one of the best defenders and primary defenders in the country. Gardner working on Bancaro. Fade, and it won't go. And good positioning by Williams, and here come the Blue Devils trying to push it up just a little bit. Bancaro from just inside the elbow misses again, and Duke hasn't scored in more than 4 minutes. Williams is called for the foul, and that is 2 on Big Mark, and Coach K's team a little bit sluggish coming out of the gate, but that's in large measure to the way the Cavaliers are playing her, up by 6. Super Tuesday doubleheader coming up on ESPN and the app at 7 Eastern. Number 5 Kentucky. Duke beat Kentucky to open the season. Takes on South Carolina. Cats are playing great basketball right now. Then a Big Ten battle between Illinois and Purdue. My buddy Seth Greenberg likes to say Purdue's like Noah's Ark. They've got 2 of everything.
Fair enough. And of course, Reese, if I could read the mind of Mike Krzyzewski, I would be a much wealthier man. However, I'm going to give it a shot here. When you think of Coach K and when he's looking and drawing on this board for his team to see, he's talking about the fact that Virginia is starting their offense way too close. That big circle on the board, he wants them catching the basketball, starting their offense much further out on the floor. Virginia's too comfortable offensively at Cameron Indoor right now for Coach K's liking.
He emphasized that during practice today, and no matter how long you've done this, no matter how talented your team, you always have to deal with human nature. And coming off a spectacular performance, right? Duke had against Carolina in a rivalry game, last trip to Chapel Hill for K, to come out with the same intensity is really difficult. And so far, the Blue Devils haven't manifested that, but still 6 minutes to go here in the first half. Virginia, meanwhile, has shown no fear. Really played excellent basketball. Moore deflected out of bounds. Just 6 on the shot clock now.
And Coach K told us if he were an opponent, you much prefer to play Duke either the game before they play North Carolina or the game after. Oftentimes, that could be a hangover.
Kihei from deep. Banchero with the rebound. I thought Gardner might have had an easier shot right inside the paint. Pass it up for the good look on the three. Speaking of three balls, he can shoot it. That's Bates Jones. A transfer from Davidson, who's given Krzyzewski some good minutes off the bench in recent games.
And Bates Jones, a grad transfer from Davidson, of course, played for a great offensive mind in Bob McKillop, coming in making a big shot. But this is part of the maturity that Coach K is looking for. Who can he find that can give them buckets? And you see Gardner knocking down a shot that you just mentioned. Would have been a better shot on the last possession in comparison. Oftentimes, Virginia gets in trouble, passing up good looks, trying to find a great one at the end of the shot clock.
If you're not familiar with Gardner's career when he was at ECU, this is a guy who put up a 35-point, 20-rebound game in his career. Banchero had the layup and missed it.
Give Kihei Clark credit for coming over and bothering, and then the beautiful find to Cafaro on the other end of the floor.
How about the look away for the biggest lead of the night with Kihei Clark getting the assist. Jones kicks it out. Griffin for three. AJ's yet to find the range. He has now missed his first 4 shots. Virginia with its biggest lead in the ball as we're inside 5 minutes to play in the first half. They've gotten the ball to that area, right at the foul line against the zone, entirely too easily.
Yeah, Duke going to the zone, and of course they played it a bit. Tony Bennett told us that Duke has guarded them multiple ways throughout his 16 coaching attempts against Coach K.
Banchero got a good look. That's just unlucky, as they say.
Back-to-back possessions, Banchero unable to finish right at the basket. We'll see if that gets in his head and it takes away some of his aggressiveness attacking the rim.
Franklin the bounce pass to Gardner. Banchero guarding him, and maybe that's what Jaden was worried about, was one of those long Duke arms coming up and getting a hand on it. Reese Beekman for three. That's long. A.J. Griffin pulls it away. Beekman tried to pick a pocket, but Trevor Keels now on the push. And Keels is going to be tripped up from behind by Beekman. First foul on Reese. Inside 4 minutes, and things could not have gone much better for Tony Bennett's Cavaliers so far. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Horizon Forbidden West, rated T for teen.
Greenberg, LaFonso Ellis, Kevin Nick.
A.J. Griffin, Wendell Moore, neither have scored yet for the Blue Devils. Trevor Keels trying to get it to Banchero. Keels just takes it himself. He just discarded Kihei Clark. And now you have Jaden Gardner, who wound up in having a seat with the cheerleaders. And there is our friend George Carl, who's with his longtime friend Kenny Denard. George, of course, played at North Carolina. Kenny played here at Duke. We saw George this morning at the Virginia shoot-around. He came in with us. He said he hadn't been in Cameron Indoor Stadium since 1973, his final game here as a Tar Heel. And Kenny had been after him to come back and after him to come back. So they went to the Duke-Carolina game together in Chapel Hill on Saturday night. And George making his first appearance here in Cameron since he was a player.
And we asked him what Kenny Denard would be wearing. you knew Kenny was coming with something special for this game, and George's description was only ugly. That's what he's going to be wearing.
That's what he said. I asked George, I said, well, what's Kenny going to be wearing tonight? And now you see.
I'm okay with it, though. If it doesn't have the cords on the front, I can still rock it. I got shoes to match that, RD.
Virginia, meanwhile, has a 9-point lead, and A.J. Griffin just can't get one to go down, and now he's going to be tied up and have the ball taken away in there by Armand Franklin.
Well, Virginia has just been tougher in this game than Duke has, and that's going to be a conversation from Coach K in the locker room at halftime. Virginia has come into this building and taken whatever they wanted from Virginia on both ends of the floor, offensively, defensively, and here, Armand Franklin just takes the basketball away from A.J. Griffin.
Duke has made just one of its last 11 shots. Griffin's 0 for 5. He's going to take a break, presumably for the rest of the half here. Blue Devils haven't trailed by more than 4 at halftime this season. We shouldn't be surprised if Virginia's playing tough. 5 of the last 7 have been decided by 2 points or fewer. The last 12 by 10 points or fewer, and now a 3-ball goes down 32-20 as Franklin scores again. He has 8, and it's a 17-3 run. Moore goes up strong. First points of the night for the junior from Charlotte.
But Duke has gotten a number of good looks at the basket, just unable to finish. This time, Wendell Moore Jr. using that size to finish over top of Reese Beekman, and the opportunity for the and one.
And it's Beekman's second foul, Corey. So he'll head to the bench, replacing him for the remainder of the half. Malachi Poindexter, good defensive player. Malachi got a few minutes earlier here in the first half.
And Tony Bennett telling Reese Beekman, hey, do you know how important you are to us? Don't bother getting the foul on that possession. Stay down. If he scores the 2, it doesn't kill us. Don't give him an extra opportunity at the free throw line, and more importantly, pick up your second foul.
Okay, so the 12-point lead is shaved 9 almost immediately, and this feels like a really important finishing moments of the half for Virginia in order to pay off what they've done here in the first half and maintain a comfortable lead. Shot clock at 3. Franklin pulls up. Can't get it to go. Shedrick got a hand on it, but it's Blue Devil basketball with 90 seconds to play in the half. Bates Jones has hit 1, now he's hit 2. Bankero the rejection, but Shedrick's there to put it back.
And Virginia has been in the right place at the right time all evening long thus far. Even after a big play by Mark Williams, the crowd wants to erupt. Caden Shedrick coming up and making a big play.
Bankero for 3. Gardner at the free throw line, and he's called for the travel. And just seconds ago, it seems, Virginia was up 32-20, and now Duke can hold for the final possession and perhaps go in as close as a bucket.
But Artie, you've been here enough, done enough games to know that at every point, Duke is going to make one of those runs that has this building deafening, and the crowd gives them energy, and now an opportunity to make it a one-possession game going into the half.
Moore turns the corner all the way through, an ill-advised pass, but then there's a whistle and a foul. And he called on Kihei Clark. It's Kihei's first, and that will send the Blue Devils to the 1-and-1. So a little bit more intensity and energy here from Duke in the waning moments of the first half. Roach misses the front end, back tap, Trevor Keels. That won't go. And now the long heave from Franklin, and almost had a 70-footer to end the half. But even so, what a scrappy, tough performance by Virginia in the first half. And the Blue Devils with their largest deficit at the break this season.
Virginia came into the game confident. They feel as though they can win on this floor, and they put up a very strong effort here in the first half.
Virginia, 26 points in the paint. While they do have some length, when you look at the rosters, you feel like they're giving up a lot of size, but they attacked, and they attacked fearlessly. Let's go down to Andrea now.
Coach Bennett, 26 points in the paint. How was your offense effective in the first half?
I mean, we just tried to move and do what we do. Lost concentration, lost vision, and gave up some plays when we were unalert at the end that hurt, because we did play solid. Had a good mix of getting on the glass, touching the paint, and then they went zone, and just got to keep playing.
Coach, thank you.
Is there a more pleasant guy around even going to halftime, even with the minor frustrations? Kevin Negandhi, LaFonso Ellis, and Seth Greenberg in the studio now. Kevin?
RD, appreciate it.
Second half about to get underway in Cameron Indoor. Virginia on top of number 7 Duke, 34-29. Reese Davis and Corey Alexander here. Virginia won back-to-back games for the first time in a month, but candidly, they just played harder than Duke did in the first half.
They really did, and it was the intangibles getting it done the Wahoo way. And when you think about what Virginia has done in this one, it's been about all of the hustle plays, the offensive rebounds, the putbacks. Virginia with an 8-4 advantage in second chance points. And then it's the turnovers. Virginia has scored 11 points off turnovers. Duke 0 to this point, and Virginia's passing the basketball inside, just being tougher around the rim and stronger with the basketball. Even when Duke makes a spectacular play, Virginia's there to clean up the mess, and that's the reason why they had a 5-point advantage at halftime.
Tony Bennett's defensive game plan has worked well. Blue Devils lead the ACC and 11th in the country in field goal percentage at just under 50%. They shot 37% in the first half, and the Cavaliers attacked the paint much more effectively than did the Blue Devils. You're going to see a little extension to that zone defense now.
Yeah, this looks more like a 1-3-1 zone right now with Paolo Banchero kind of manning the middle, but different, a switch up for Duke. More of a matchup zone, and Virginia going to take a second half to get used to this one.
Franklin shot it from 23, but only shot it 22. We check in with Drea Carter.
Well, you guys already talked about the hustle plays and the 50-50 balls and how that was crucial in the first half. But I talked to Coach Shire, and he said that on defense, they have to keep Virginia out of the paint. He said it's critical. No matter what defense we're in, they cannot touch the paint. He said their defense affected their offense. They need more flow on offense, more poise, and more toughness on both ends.
Banchero with a good feed to Williams, and Reese Beekman fouled and picked up his third. He had to do it to stop the dunk, but Reese set out the last couple of minutes of the first half to try to avoid picking up a third foul, and in less than a minute he does just that.
And Reese Beekman leads Virginia in minutes in ACC play, over 36 a game. And right now it looks as though Coach Bennett going to sub and get Beekman out of the game, and that is a big loss for Virginia early to start this second half. Of course, the first 5 minutes of the second half so crucial, and Virginia going to have to man it without their best defender and playmaker.
Duke finished the first half on a 9-2 run for it. Mark Williams hits both free throws. At the end of the first half against Carolina on Saturday night, as we continue to harken back to that game, North Carolina scratched back a little closer, but Duke really came out with a surge behind A.J. Griffin, who didn't score in the first half. A strong attack of the basket by Cafaro is denied by Williams. Clark, and nice little floater from Jaden Gardner, the veterans into double figures with 10. Duke on the push to try to pick up the tempo a bit.
But that gets right into what happened in the first half for Virginia. Even though they were denied the opportunity at the rim, the offensive rebound and playing poised under pressure, T.A. Clark making a beautiful find to Gardner.
Griffin working on Statman, who's in the game. A.J. follows his own, his first points of the night. Even if the Blue Devils had a little trouble getting going, see how explosive, how talented they are, how quickly they can score in bunches. Gardner, that was a good look from Statman, and Gardner with a chance for the three-point play.
Smart play by Jaden Gardner, not only to attack the basket, but the pump fake to get the ACC's leading shot blocker, Mark Williams, into the air. On the other end of the floor is A.J. Griffin attacking the basket, unable to finish, but the tip in to give him his first points of the game.
Gardner finishes the three-point play. When he was a freshman at East Carolina, he led all Division I freshmen in free throw attempts. That dude knows how to get to the free throw line. And he's played a very good game, not far from his hometown tonight, putting up 13.7 rebounds so far. Here's Wendell Moore. Gardner now guarding Banchero, and Powell uses his height to get it over the top. Williams tries to tip in the pass, and Mark Williams, the second time it goes. Well, Papi Cafaro just couldn't might keep Williams from getting his hands on it.
And Paolo Banchero turning a mess into magic, mishandling the basketball, but throwing it up to where only his teammate, Mark Williams at 7-1, can go get it. And Williams finishes it off, an opportunity for the and one.
Finishes the three-point play. It's a three-point game. The NBA Wednesday doubleheader on ESPN and the app. Bulls and Hornets, 7:30 Eastern time, and then Western Conference matchup, the Warriors in Utah to take on the Jazz. NBA countdown starts at 7 o'clock Eastern. Nifty move by Cafaro.
That was beautiful by Poppy. The nice fake to the baseline, taking advantage of Mark Williams' aggressiveness defensively, knowing he's going to go for the shot block, and then the soft touch. And Cafaro really giving Virginia a big lift offensively as well.
Numbers just on the screen, 8 points, 7 rebounds. A redshirt junior from Argentina. Great pass from Griffin to Williams. Here's Gardner again, and Williams there to clean it up, and he slams it off of Poppy. Had no choice as he was falling out of bounds. It'll be Duke basketball.
Reese, I'll be honest with you. If someone hit me with a basketball like that currently, I think I'm down for the count. Poppy ate that like it was nothing. Give me another one. He looked at it like, brushed it off his shoulder like, I'll take another one of those, sir.
Well, you're a strong dude, but he's 7'1", 245. That was like a bug on a windshield to him. Poppy going down to double team Paolo. Now Roach splits the defense. Jeremy Roach over Cafaro and Kihei Clark. A rare running opportunity for the Cavaliers. Kihei Clark all the way.
And Tony Bennett has given his players an opportunity to score in the first 7 seconds of the shot clock. When they have a look, Kihei Clark recognizing and taking advantage of that. Oftentimes you'll see Virginia pull that out and run offense, but I love Kihei Clark being that aggressive to score.
Look at this, look at it. And
nothing.
And you know what, gracious of Williams there to choose the shoulder instead of
this is true.
Kisser. Williams gets a little shove as he went for the lob off the inbound pass. And Mark is a very good free throw shooter. Will go to the line, and Poppy a little sloppy on the defense, gets his third foul.
And the one position where Virginia does have depth is for Cafaro. So Tony Bennett will give him the opportunities to continue to play physical, because of course he has Caden Shedrick to come in and replace Cafaro. And Shedrick playing good basketball as well recently. So Virginia with a two-headed monster at that center position. As Mark Williams becomes more aggressive, Virginia's a matching.
Of course, Shedrick hit all 3 of his shots in the first half, hit all 3 of his shots Saturday against Miami. He was very active, bouncy on the boards. 4-point lead for Virginia. Malachi Poindexter hasn't gotten a lot of time this year. He's on the floor with Beekman in a little bit of foul trouble. Here's Shedrick going right at Williams and kisses it home.
And this is new for Virginia. You haven't seen them feature their guys in the post, but we've seen them go to Cafaro. We've seen them go to Shedrick, and those guys have won that matchup more often than not here tonight.
36 points in the paint for the Cavaliers. Wendell Moore Jr. can't get the 3. Shedrick with the rebound. Clark, hesitation, paint, gets Williams up. There was a lot of contact in the body in there, and their bodies go flying. No call. Keith Kimball tells him to play on. I'll be honest, I thought Clark got hit.
Oh, he definitely got hit. There was contact there.
And Mark Williams called for the offensive foul, and the big fella picks up his 4th.
And I believe the officials are going to go over and check this one. That's an elbow to the face. This could be upgraded as Mark Williams is going to the basket. He definitely catches Caden Shedrick above the shoulders. As you see Williams, and again, when you're 7 foot, you often have 7 foot elbows, but there was true contact on that one.
They'll go and have a look. There's some unpleasantries being exchanged here as Bennett is now discussing the situation with the official Doug Shows. Coach K on the other end talking to Keith Kimball. The crowd urging them to tee up Tony Bennett.
Once again, Mark Williams, as he clears through, as he brings the basketball over his head, is that a true basketball play? And there is contact. Caden Shedrick taking that one to the chin. We'll see what they come up with when we return.
And we'll also hear from Dick Vitale when you come back. Yep. Here is the play that the officials went to look at. Mark Williams against Caden Shedrick. Common foul, nothing more than that, though the extracurriculars afterward earned both benches a double technical. As you see Virginia assistant Jason Williford getting heated.
Well, that's my bestie right there, Reese. And of course, Jay Willie coming over. Tony Bennett doesn't like it, but this is Jason Williford, who he is. He's a fiery competitor. Did not like that action. And Caden Shedrick actually was hit like that in the North Carolina game earlier this year and went out of the game. Jason Williford, who coaches the bigs for Virginia, did not like that, took exception to it, and had something to say to the Duke bench about it.
And through this, Mark Williams goes to the bench for Duke with 4 fouls. Theo John is in. The jumper from Armand Franklin is off. Trevor Keels back in for Duke. And on the push. 6-point lead. It has been a tough, hard-nosed physical game. And Virginia has played his tail off to stay in this thing and has a 6-point lead right now. Over the top for Moore, and he's fouled on the way by Poindexter.
RD, the first 5 minutes of this second half, we knew Duke would come out and respond after a conversation with Coach K in the locker room. But Virginia has responded as well, and until that bucket by Wendell Moore Jr., they had actually extended the lead by 1. But when you look at it, Virginia has come out assisting very well. 4 assists on the first 5 field goals of this half. They responded to the challenge, but right now momentum starting to build in favor of the Blue Devils on their home court.
Moore has a half dozen. Kihei Clark gets by Roach, a little floater, and the veteran hits a silencer against the Cameron Crazies.
And you talked about earlier, Kihei Clark, the only player for Virginia with experience in this building, and it has shown. We've seen Kihei step up and make huge plays, especially when Virginia is needed the most. And of course, loving to do that. His parents actually flew in from California to see this one.
That was a really nice job by Banchero to get it out of the double and then the extra pass. Duke couldn't pay it off with the bucket. Virginia with the ball in a 5-point lead. Poindexter miscommunication with Shedrick. Pass ahead to Moore. Wendell, runner in the paint, and it won't go down. Patience from the Cavaliers on offense. There's Jaden Gardner, not far from his hometown. Coming back with the Cavaliers for the first time. Franklin lines up a 3. It's no good. Gardner, the offensive rebound. It's a miss, and Duke has it. Cavs had a couple good looks on their most recent trip. An opportunity to extend the lead. Crowd rallying behind their team. Double team coming. Banchero beat it last time. And again, the pass on the skip. Theo John against Shedrick, and Shedrick is called for the foul.
And this is smart offense by the Blue Devils, handling the post trap, the skip pass, but more importantly, getting the basketball on the opposite side into Theo John, and you see John lowering that shoulder, Shedrick taking that one to the chest, absorbing it, but John still able to finish over the top.
That's a miss in my judgment. I think that's an offensive foul on Theo John turning in. He displaced the defender who had a legal guarding position and created space with the shot.
In the first half, that same play was called a foul on Paolo Banchero with Jaden Gardner getting over. So exactly what you're saying, the consistency in those two calls has not been there.
2-point game. Clark have another answer. Great pass to Gardner, gets his man in the air and scores. Clark made that play and Gardner finished it. Gardner with 15.
Absolutely. You're talking about a young man who made the biggest play in UVA basketball history against Purdue. And right now, Kihei Clark is stepping up and making play after play to help his team try to get a win on the road.
That's a mismatch inside as Trevor Keels overpowers Clark inside. Back to a 2. And another find from Clark to Shedrick.
And Andrea talked to John Shire. He said we've got to find a way to keep Virginia out of the paint. The last few possessions, Kihei Clark has had his way getting in the paint whenever he chooses.
5 assists now for Clark.
And Corey, what I've noticed in just watching Kihei Clark right here, as Trevor Keels hits a big shot, doesn't matter what Kihei Clark just did. Trevor Keels responded instead.
Duke hasn't had the lead since the 10:48 mark of the first half. They're a single away as Virginia is trying to hold on and was turned into a wild one here in Cameron. As you know, our buddy Dick Vitale is on vocal rest, but he never rests when it comes to the V Foundation work. Together, they raised $13.35 million for the V Foundation for Cancer Research during V Week. Dick has spearheaded so many of those efforts and channeling his inner Bob Dylan from Subterranean Homesick Blues. Although I will admit that my initial reaction was, oh, they did that in that movie, Love Actually.
Well, I'm glad that you were on it because I had no idea where it came from. But I love the fact that I see Dickie B smiling. And again, he's not talking, but he's smiling. And Dickie B, we love you, we miss you, and we're rooting for you.
And he's been in constant communication with a lot of coaches around the country, including Mike Krzyzewski, who told us today that he checked in on Dick regularly. So I know Dick's watching every game he can, and we miss him. Look forward to him coming back. Here we have got an absolute barn burner. Virginia hanging on to a 1-point lead. Reese Beekman is back in the game. He gives it up to Gardner, and the foul flush from Caden Shedrick.
We talked about Virginia being tougher in the first half. Duke has come out in the second half and played much tougher, much stronger, but Virginia has not gone away, has continued to perform here on the road.
Shedrick has hit all 6 of his field goals. That's 9 in a row dating back to his last game. Trevor Keels, who scored 5 straight a moment ago, couldn't get that 3 to go, and Virginia has it. 3-point lead as we wind toward the 10-minute mark to play here in Cameron. Tony Bennett in his career, 4-12 against Duke, just 1 win in this building against the Blue Devils for all the success he's had, and Kihei Clark nestles one in.
Kihei Clark has played so poised and unfazed by the Cameron crazy, unfazed by the atmosphere, and his teammates have followed him.
Banchero, the last one to touch it. He was about to go set a screen, and the pass came. Beekman alertly knocked it off of him, and it's 8 turnovers now for Duke, and Virginia keeps playing tough.
Caden Shedrick, the North Carolina native, with the finish over the top. No tap the head. We just gonna run back, RD. We ain't showing out in here.
We're starting the night with a dandy and another one coming up on ESPN from the Big 12. Kansas and Texas, top 20 showdown, 9 o'clock Eastern time. See it streaming live on the app Well, we're right here on ESPN as soon as we finish in Cameron, Virginia with a 55-50 lead. They've led since the 10:48 mark of the first half. Caden Shedrick has been perfect from the floor, hit all 6 of his field goals, and Kihei Clark has scored or assisted on 6 of the Who's last 7 baskets.
But I can appreciate Caden not tapping the head. He got a great head of hair just like you, RD. And of course, for you getting to work with someone with hair, this has to be a different experience for you.
It's really sort of, it freaks me out a little bit. I'm used to the glare and the shine coming off from the people I work with the exception of Debbie Antonelli, who has lovely hair.
Agree.
Turnover for the Cavaliers, under 9.5 to go. Mark Williams has returned. He's playing with 4 fouls, and Big Mark now has 14 points.
And important for Mark Williams to be on the floor. He really's been the best player on the floor for the Blue Devils all night. Those 4 fouls, and you see Duke going back to the zone defense to try to protect him.
That was Duke's 24th point in the paint. Virginia has 44. Cavaliers have made just 1 3-pointer. Trying for another, and now 1 of 9 from behind the arc, and the Blue Devils could pull even with a 3.
And coming into this game, you would have thought Virginia would have had to have made 3s to be able to compete with the Blue Devils. No one would have expected the disparity of points in the paint, especially when you consider how great Duke has been all year scoring in the painted area.
But Tony Bennett said this morning to his defense, don't get stretched. And they've been able to accomplish that and make it hard inside for Duke. Duke in that 2-3 zone. They played zone for much of the night. I was just about to say Gardner's been pretty effective when getting the ball in that area, at reversing it, getting it moved, but that time the pass a little hot and high and hard to handle, and it's a turnover. Just the 5th of the night for the Cavaliers. And Trevor Keels, the freshman, or as Virginia people might prefer I say, even though it's not their school, first year. Keels working on Beekman, who's playing with 3 fouls. Shot clock at 4. Wendell Moore has to put it up. Off the board, almost got the banking hours himself. But Kihei comes out of there, as he often does with the ball, and settles everybody down. Running ahead of the field is Shedrick. Thank you very much. Leads back to 5.
Kihei Clark has controlled this basketball game in the second half. He gave Caden Shedrick time to be able to get to the rim. No one from Duke even recognized the biggest player on the floor for Virginia sneaking behind the defense.
How about the big 3rd-year man from Holly Springs, North Carolina, the night he's had back in his home state. Keels made the bucket, but the foul occurred on the floor before Trevor started the shooting motion. And we're at the under 8. And Virginia going for a signature win. The only ranked team in the ACC is Duke, but Kihei Clark has dominated.
Dropping dimes from beyond half court, and Caden Shedrick finishing it off. Kihei Clark has left his fingerprints all over this game, attacking the basket, scoring, and finding his teammates, similar to our own Andrea Carter, who used to get this done at Tennessee back in the day.
Listen, Corey, I think what's impressed me the most, and what I never did at Kihei Clark's level, was his change of speed. If you notice, before he threw that lob pass to Caden Shedrick, he ducked down first to get the defense's attention, and then he threw the pass. He changes his levels. He goes low, and then he goes high, and he only leaves his feet when he knows what he's going to do with the basketball. Just a very impressive, smart performance by Kihei Clark, which is really important when you're going against the athleticism of the Duke guards.
And more importantly, in this environment, Kihei, unfazed by the moment, continues to make play after play to give Virginia an opportunity. But once again, the Blue Devils with some momentum, getting some energy here on their home court.
And Kihei Clark will be playing for the moment without Reese Beekman, who's out with his 4th foul. And there's another bucket and another dunk, and the perfect night continues. The career night for Caden Shedrick, who's now 8 for 8 and has 16 points. Keels strong all the way to the bucket. Banchero hasn't taken a shot this half, but boy, he has a sweet assist. And Shedrick is very slow to get up underneath the Duke basket, getting a little encouragement from the veteran Armand Franklin. Gardner goes to work on Banchero. The turnaround jumper is wide. Shedrick fighting for it. Bennett wanted a foul called. He's all over Keith Kimball, but Duke has it. Chance to tie with a 3. Don't forget, tonight the tournament, a history of the ACC men's basketball tournament premieres on the ACC network. 10-part documentary, 9 and 10 Eastern time. Starts with the first tournament in 54, runs through present day through the 2020 season. New episodes Mondays, 9 and 10 Eastern on the ACC network. And of course, both of these 2 programs will be prominent in the telling of the history of the ACC tournament. Kihei Clark was called for that foul. It was his second. All the ACC tournament banners, 21 of them, if memory serves, in terms of tournament championships for Duke. North Carolina has won more regular season titles than anyone in conference history, but the Blue Devils have more tournament crowns. Jeremy Roach makes the first free throw, 2-point game. Well, Shedrick's going to get a rest, and man, he took a spill down under the basket, but man, he has been just sensational.
But he has responded. Caden Shedrick had been injury prone throughout the first 2 years of his career at University of Virginia. But after getting knocked out in the game against North Carolina and not coming back in.
I think we have a foul called along the lane on the shot.
And if that's Cafaro, that will be his 4th foul.
It was and it is. Let's look and see what happened. A veteran reaction from the Marquette transfer, Theo John. And now Theo will go to the free throw line. John, a 60% free throw shooter. Misses. And some quarters, some might say, ball don't lie. I don't know. Although I will say, I mean, Cafaro did foul, but you can make the argument that both of them.
But you can make the argument that that type of play is happening all night in this game.
3 ball on the way. Virginia, that's the one thing they haven't done well tonight is shoot the ball from 3. Made just 1 attempt.
RD, a big possession for the Blue Devils right now. An opportunity to take the lead, which would be important for them and their confidence moving forward.
And Banchero turns it over. Franklin's ahead of the field. Roach is chasing him, and John blocked it, but it's a goaltend. Franklin into double figures. 3-point lead again for Virginia. Well, you've seen some high-level play from both teams tonight. Bennett is still angry, pleading his case with Doug Shows. Well, we've seen some recruits be greeted by the camera and crazy. Take a look at tonight's McDonald's All-American Spotlight and the list of McDonald's All-Americans on their way to Duke. This is a good way to start for John Shire, I would say.
It absolutely is. John Shire off to a great start. For these 3 guys he will coach, and of course has more on the way. As Trevor Keels, who came down to Virginia, Duke, and Villanova, is trying to get his team to lead here as we get an opportunity to look at John Shire, who was very instrumental in recruiting Trevor Keels here. And right now, Keels stepping up and making big plays, coming back from injury, trying to still find his legs, but in attack mode here late in a very important game.
He missed 3 games after a lower leg injury against Florida State. As I'm sure you know, John Shire, who's responsible for those recruits, will take over for Mike Krzyzewski next year after Coach K retires. 1 of 2. Theo John, the offensive rebound, and Jaden Gardner just took it away from him. We've seen that happen on a number of occasions. Excellent hands and actively pursuing the ball from the Cavaliers. Gardner takes that shot and rolls it home with a soft touch.
But that's the difference in Theo John being in the middle of that zone and Mark Williams being in the middle of the zone. Mark Williams discourages those opportunities with his shot blocking prowess.
Keels trying to take There has been a lot of frustration tonight. Shire and Chris Carrawell taking the brunt of that moment. And Coach K has been exhorting the Blue Devils from the opening moments. This is something he emphasized today, that they had to show maturity, come back, play strong, and the most mature player on the team in terms of experience, Wendell Moore hits a huge three. Gardner couldn't get the roll. Banchero double. Headed toward the 4-minute mark. Roach splits the defense, avoids the charge, and Duke's back on top. His place erupted. Duke has been fighting from behind virtually all night. They're back on top of Virginia, headed to the free throw line. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by LinkedIn. Whatever you're in it for, we are in it together.
Back in the studio, we're expecting a very good one tonight in Austin, 20 minutes away from Ochai Agbaji and Kansas taking on Texas.
Yeah, the fourth best three-point shooter in the Big 12 at 47%, making nearly 3 a game. They've got to run him off the line, Seth, make him shoot tough twos.
It's not just Agbaji, it's Brown, it's Wilson. They have so many floor gamers that can make plays and put pressure on the defense.
Go back to Durham. Reese, take it away.
All right, guys, got a close one here, Corey.
Yeah, Jeremy Roach playing great point guard basketball, coming off the screen. And the beautiful split. You can't make it look any better, keeping the ball low, but more importantly, avoiding the contact, not picking up the charge, and gaining the lead for the Blue Devils. Beautiful point guard play by Jeremy Roach.
Corey, they hadn't had the lead since the 10:48 mark of the first half. Now they have it by 1. Virginia trying to answer yet again. 3 Cavaliers in double figures, only Mark Williams in double figures for Duke, and he's not on the floor with 4 fouls. Beekman almost traveled, got away with it. Gardner over John. John bothered the shot enough. Shedrick is tied up with a Blue Devil on the floor and more, and it's Duke basketball with a 1-point lead.
Great job by Theo John coming over with the block shot and then gathering the rebound, keeping it in play.
There's Roach again. Clark tied him up beautifully, called the jump ball. And the possession arrow is the Blue Devil.
With Reese Beekman being such a great defender, people often forget how good Kihei Clark is defending the basketball. But Virginia has 2 of the better defenders on ball in the ACC.
Achilles lost it with Beekman on him. Had some deep position. Keel's a strong dude. He creates a little space against Beekman and follows his own. Do the Who's have one more answer? Franklin, contact inside, and the foul is going to be called on Theo John. Let's take a look at a Sonic blockbuster. Ohio State and Michigan coming up. Buckeyes have won 4 of their last 5. Did lose to Purdue in a close one. Wolverines have scuffled much of the season. Lost 2 of their last 3, both road games against top 10 teams. So looking forward to that one coming up Saturday night, 6 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN as Franklin missed the first. Virginia 4 of 7 from the free throw line. Make it 5 of 8. Sitting on a 2.
But right now, As good as K.A. Clark has been in this game, it's been the Duke backcourt now. Jeremy Roach, Trevor Keels making plays on back-to-back possessions to give their team a lead and more confidence on the offensive end of the floor.
And attacking and getting to the free throw line, too. Corey, they've done a terrific job of that, particularly in the second half. Boy, there's a lot of contact between John and Shedrick inside. Keels. There's more contact there. Trevor probably got hit, but they're going to get a shot clock violation because he didn't hit the rim. That's 12 turnovers. And it's a wrestling match out there right now.
It really has. It's been physical on both sides for these teams throughout the entire game. Right now, Duke holding on to a 2-point lead in a seesaw affair.
30 seconds, and we're back.
Coach K digging deep to implore his Blue Devils to hang on to get this win. And I have a feeling, guys, he is tapping into his reverence for his older brother, late Bill Krzyzewski. It was a joy hearing Coach K talk about his brother. He said Bill was 6'6", 220, loved by everyone, could do anything, but the best part about his older brother, he said, was that he celebrated work ethic. He had dignity to work, always showed up and gave his best effort. I believe that's what Coach K needs his guys to do these last 2 minutes.
And that's one of the things, of course, we've seen over the past 42 seasons from this Duke basketball program. It's about work ethic. It's about staying committed to the task at hand. And right now, the task at hand is to get the job done defensively and timely scoring on the offensive end.
And on the offensive end, too, Corey, when we got to halftime, Paolo Banchero was 3 for 8 from the floor. Paolo Banchero is still 3 for 8 from the floor. Now, he's done a good job on the boards. He has 7 rebounds in the second half. But you'd like to see him. Virginia's run doubles at him. He's made some good passes out of the double team. But you'd like to see them get the ball in his hands on the next offensive trip. Let's see what Beekman does. Right by Keels, all the way in. John with a tremendous stop and block at the rim. And Beekman picks Roach's pocket. Reese back up, and he ties it. Wow, what a couple of sensational plays.
Theo John coming over with a huge block shot, denying Reese Beekman, but Jeremy Roach not recognizing Reese Beekman, who is one of the best in the ACC at taking the basketball away from his opponent, comes up with a huge steal and an opportunity to give Virginia the lead right back.
And he can't make the free throw. Beekman has dealt with foul trouble. He's playing with 4 right now, but that bucket was huge. Tied at 66. Headed toward 90 seconds to play in Cameron. See if Banchero gets a touch. He's got it. The skip to Keels. Keels puts it under his arm like a running back and creates some space, and Trevor will go back to the free throw line.
RD, this is the Trevor Keels we saw against Kentucky early in the season. This is the young man who attacks the basket, gets to the free throw line. 25 points in that game against Kentucky. Only made 1 3-pointer, but he lived in the paint. And right now, Duke is taking advantage of Virginia being in scramble after the trap of Banchero on the skip pass.
Duke back on top by 1.
RD, to go back to your mention of Paolo Banchero, he has not had a game this season where he didn't score in double figures. Right now with 9 points and not taking any field goal attempts here in the second half, may be the first time he sees that this year.
Soft home rims for Trevor Keels. Keels with a dozen. Banchero does have 3 assists, and he has a few hockey assist type passes too. Backdoor cut, reverse layup is no good from Clark. Duke the last to touch it, it'll be Virginia ball.
But how big has Theo John been in the painted area? And the officials are going to go over and review this to see, to make sure they got this call correct as to who the basketball goes out of bounds off of. But Theo John doesn't get a shot block on that one, but he alters the shot from K.A. Clark. Doing a great job defensively on the back line.
Both he, Theo John, and Mark Williams, when he's been in the game, they've been very effective in different ways. Williams with 16 points. He's Duke's leading scorer tonight, the noted shot blocker, leading shot blocker in the ACC. And Theo John has been just as disruptive on defense.
He really has, and you see coming in late, Caden Shedrick.
Yeah, that's got to be Virginia ball. That's off Duke last.
I'm not sure. From that angle, it's hard to see if it actually hits. Because the spin of the ball does not change direction. And at this point, you can see Caden Shedrick gets a hand on it. The change of the basketball does not. I don't believe there's evidence either way to overturn it.
And I think there's a question too. Shedrick got a hand on it. It looked as if maybe Bancaro did too, ever so slightly. On the floor, our officiating crew, you see Kip Kissinger and Doug Shows there, and Keith Kimball, the other official. On the floor, they said it was Virginia's basketball. Now, see, there's Bancaro.
Bancaro's hand is going that direction, so that angle gives us an opportunity to see Bancaro does take that basketball out of bounds. That will be Virginia's possession.
So the Bucks 16 left. Went to the monitor, make sure they got it right, and they did. So to give you the situation, 21 on the shot clock, that's plenty of time. A team that runs offense as Virginia does, but Duke, excellent defensive team. Now Virginia shot much better than most opponents have in recent games against Blue Devils. Cavaliers shooting better than 48% tonight. Duke's typically holding teams around 40.
Reason for that, Virginia's only taken 10 threes, 1 for 10 from 3, but they have been damaging in the paint.
There's Clark loading up a 3-ball, and now they're 1 for 11. A tremendous, strong rebound from Wendell Moore, who's made really clutch plays on both ends. Coach K will call a timeout. That 7th rebound from Wendell Moore was a big one. Hit a huge 3 earlier as we check in the studio.
Reese reminding you, coming up in less than 10 minutes, Timmy Allen and Texas so good at home, especially on the defensive side. Get ready for Kansas.
Yeah, Timmy Allen, Utah transfer, really good in the low post, but he can make shots as well.
All right, again, Texas, Kansas coming your way. Back to Reese, Corey, and Andrea.
All right, 68-66, Blue Devils with the lead, Corey. So Duke has the basketball. What would you like to see them do here in this possession or try to make it a 2-possession game?
I would like to see them go back to Bancaro, and you expect for Virginia to trap, but if they don't, he goes one-on-one. But otherwise, the skip pass has really been giving them opportunities to not only catch and shoot, but toss it right back inside of Theo John, who has been spectacular for the Blue Devils here in the second half.
So along those lines, you've seen what Bancaro has done against the double team in this situation with 50.3 seconds left in this possession. He gets it in the block. Would you run the double team at it?
I would not. At this point, I would allow him to play man-to-man, whether it's Jaden Gardner, Caden Shedrick, whoever is guarding him on this possession, because at the end of the day, a 2 can hurt you, but you also have the opportunity to be able to defensive rebound and not put your team in scramble defensively.
Well, Trevor Keels is the guy who has wound up with the ball a lot. He scored all 12 of his points here in the second half. He's only 3 of 11 from the floor, but he's gotten to the free throw line and made 5 of 6. Such a strong guy, an overpowering guy at times for the Virginia guards to try to keep away from the rim.
And he's part of the reason why Reese Beekman is playing with 4 fouls, and we also have to consider that if we do have an extra session, 5 minutes, Virginia has both Beekman and Kafaro with 4 fouls, so foul trouble on that end, and you've got Mark Williams with 4 for Duke.
So the ACC standings after the Blue Devils beat North Carolina on Saturday night, they moved to the top and sole possession of first place. They have an advantage in the loss column over Notre Dame and also a head-to-head victory against them. They've also beaten Wake Forest. Blue Devils' 2 losses in conference play have come at the hands of Miami and Florida State in tight games. In fact, in all 3 of the Blue Devils' losses this season, they've had the lead inside 2 minutes to go, and they have the lead inside 1 minute to go here. Here's Bancaro. Double doesn't come. Tallow almost turns it over and does. Franklin got hit in the head, no call, almost traveled as a result of it and was able to keep his feet planted. And now there's about a 6 to 7 second differential shot in game clock. Virginia down by 2. Beekman almost threw it away. Gardner has it in the paint. He's working on Bancaro, trying to find a way to get it up. Franklin drives. Franklin puts it up. He misses the tip out. John grabs the rebound. He's tied up by Clark, and possession arrow is Virginia's.
RD, throughout that entire possession, the guy that you want to have the ball in his hands at this point in the game is Kihei Clark. He never got his hands on the basketball. Tony Bennett calling the timeout with 7.2. I would expect to see Kihei Clark being the guy making the play for Virginia in this one.
That possession really epitomized how Virginia has stayed in this game and have a chance to tie it, send it to overtime, or perhaps win the game. Duke got the rebound, they had it, Virginia didn't quit on it. John brought the ball too low and Clark tied him up. It's just been a scrap, a fight, just to stay in it. Hustle plays. It's kept him in it all night.
It has been that all night for Virginia, and they've done a great job with it, but we also have to give credit to the Blue Devils for getting a stop defensively, and Virginia deciding to play it man-to-man, one-on-one. Jaden Gardner winning the matchup. Paolo Banchero with the turnover, giving Virginia an opportunity, but then Virginia unable to score. But as you mentioned, Kihei Clark coming in and making a huge play, tying up the basketball when Theo John brings it low. And just like that, Virginia with an opportunity with 7.2 remaining.
Well, this thing's been entirely too physical, but it's certainly been fun. So we got 7.2. See if the Blue Devils and that great defense can get a stop. Mark Williams back on the floor guarding the inbounder, and Clark can't get an inbounds over him, so they'll have to take a timeout.
And that's a disadvantage when you've got a generous 5'10" guy, Kihei Clark, trying to throw the basketball in over the 7'1" Mark Williams. Great adjustment by Coach K and his staff to put Williams on the basketball, forcing the timeout.
Now, in theory, the deeper, more talented team would have the advantage in overtime. That would be Duke. That would lead you to say that you'd try to set a play for a three if you could get it, but Virginia's just 1 of 11 from three tonight. I know take the first best shot you get in this situation, but if you had your preference, what would be the first option on this out-of-bounds play? Looking for a 3 or a 2?
I would go for a 2 because, again, when you 1 for 11 from beyond the three-point arc, you can't necessarily expect with that to be the thing that's going to get you to win this game. I would prefer to get downhill, try to get in the painted area, see if you can get a bucket, or give your team an opportunity for an offensive rebound where Virginia's been great all night.
Tony Bennett changes. Now it's Beekman who will try to inbound the ball against 7-footer Mark Williams. Gets it into Clark. A shot for the lead! 0.7 to go and a 3-ball goes. Just the second make of the night for Virginia, and it goes off the hand of Reese Beekman.
RD, 2 things. Reese Beekman made the game winner against Syracuse in the ACC tournament a year ago. And if you get a look at this shot, Reese Beekman should be at the free throw line shooting for a 4-point play as you see Paolo Banchero come over on the Beekman jumper and hit the arm. That was a foul. Fortunate to be not to be called for Duke on that possession, but still it may be enough to give Virginia a win here on the road.
That was Kihei Clark's 9th assist of the night, and Beekman, who's battled foul trouble, hits a huge shot, just Virginia's 2nd triple of the night. Now, 0.7 was on the clock then, but they've now added 0.4 of a second back, so Duke has 1.1 for a chance to save themselves from following up that Carolina victory where they lost to Virginia, and what a victory it could be for the Cavaliers, just Tony Bennett's 2nd. I guess Reese Beekman was channeling his inner Ty Jerome.
Absolutely.
That big shot there. Was it 2018, I think?
Absolutely.
He hit the shot.
The last time Virginia's won here, that broke a 22-year spell of Virginia winning in this building. It was Ty Jerome knocking down a big bucket, and Reese Beekman with a huge one here when you consider what the Blue Devils are looking for. They're trying to get fouled on this possession.
Capital One rewarding performance. Now, something may trump that in the next 1.1, but you're not going to beat the 9th assist of the night from Clark, and Beekman admiring the shot.
Absolutely.
And following it through.
And Reese Beekman stepping up, making another huge 3 for Virginia. Only their 2nd 3 made in this game, but that could possibly be the game winner.
Daniel Jones, the Giants quarterback brother, Bates, who can sling it, is throwing the ball in bounds for Duke with 1.1 to go. Let's see who gets the shot. Bates-Jones, the long pass. Banchero on the receiving end. Banchero for the win. It won't go, and Virginia has come into Cameron and knocked off the number 7 team in the country, 69-68. What a win for a Virginia team that now moves to 15-9, and all of a sudden, the Cavaliers have a bullet point to put on the resume and maybe move to the edge of tournament contention.
Virginia said they needed a split with Duke this year to get back in NCAA tournament contention. They got it.
What a finish, 69-68. Reese Beekman, the hero. Virginia wins it over Duke. Kansas and Texas coming up next. For Andrea Carter, Corey Alexander, and our entire crew, I'm Reese Davis. Now, John Shambi and Jay Billis in Austin.